I just moved from Canada to Houston, Texas, starting my new life as a videographer. Last month, I built the perfect $1,000 PC to start my journey, but now I need a place to record. This video shows the journey I took to transform this blank space into my perfect temporary studio. Over the last several months, I have endured significant bad luck and hardship, but I am determined not to let that stop me from following my ambitions as a videographer. One of those challenges was the loss of my camera, so this video was primarily recorded on my phone, which is also broken. Hi. If it wasn't already explained, my front-facing camera is full of crap, to the point where Face ID no longer works on this phone, so much of the recording of this video is gonna be a little hazy. Anyway, you can hear the audio isn't great. I've made the executive decision to not record with a microphone and have you hear the progressive change in the audio quality as I populate my new office. Both rooms are currently a mess as I'm sorting through piles of boxes, so for the rest of the day, I'm likely gonna be going through all of this and slowly deciding what I'm going to keep or get rid of and how and where to display and store it. So naturally, when you move into a new house, the first thing you do is organize all your crap. I'm no different. This has the unintended benefit of finding some lost personal treasures. Holy shit, I just found them inside a folder with, like my diploma and honor roll certificates and all of that bullshit. They're real. There you go. Adobe Certified Certificate, Photoshop, and Illustrator. 2 years of a 3-year program to get one diploma. I came out with 2. That's a story for a different day, I believe I've told before. Well, that's pretty good progress for today, all things considered. Spent a lot of the day also helping with the rest of the house and getting that organized. It is, of course, far from over as I have to go through all of this as well. The studio is only one small part. Now, before we put anything on those shelves, I'm not happy with what they look like. I want the shelves to disappear, so we're gonna paint them white. You can see that I've already done some prep for the shelves. I just stopped by Lowe's and picked up some bonding primer, which should do a good job of adhering to the surface of old IKEA furniture, giving us a flat, clean matte finish. I was told you can use this to glue bricks together, so it should stick to the cabinets. I'm testing it already on one of the broken pieces from the bottom of this cabinet, and it looks like it's coming out. For the rest of them, I think I'm probably going to clean them first, but I don't want to do any sanding or any of that work. I just want to slather them in paint and refinish them. I'm not super impressed with this primer. It's kind of scratching. I touched this when it was still a little wet and it flaked off, and it's a bit resilient, but it's still, like, it can scratch up. You can see it's not like 100% done, but I think I'm gonna maybe do a second coat and leave it overnight and see what that's like in the morning. Okay, it's the next morning. I've got the board dry. The finish is pretty nice. It seems reasonably durable. It does chip off a little bit if you really scratch at it, but like everyone I've shown this to, they're like, well, they don't scratch at it. I am gonna be putting books and other decorative things, but I think the finish should hold up for the purposes of being a beautiful studio decoration. So I'm gonna lay out the other boards, get my rollers out, and start working on getting everything painted.
I've tried shutting you off for some time now, but I'm still hearing your voice in my head. Oh, I wish I was more than your fan now, and that your voice came from here in my bed. You're in my headphones, baby.
Okay, first coat of coat down on the first 3 boards. It's worth noting that this is by no means the preferred tool for painting, nor is this the right technique that you should be using. I'm having to improvise as much as I can because we've just moved to this location and our garage looks like this. Making do with what I can, basically trying to get paint down on the boards by dipping and then rolling. You have to be careful not to apply too much pressure with this or it drags rather than rolls. So it's a careful balancing act between those techniques to get that paint evenly spread over the surface. I am going to be doing 2 coats on every face of each of these things to give it a good, soluble, durable coating. The primer does adhere to the surface, but that first coat I found chipped off a little bit too easily. And I want the extra opacity that it's going to bring because you can see on these boards that there's a bit of modeling with the first coat alone. Okay, that's coat 1 done. In between coats, always make sure to wrap your tools in saran wrap or keep them wet or just wash them. I'm gonna let these dry for an hour, go out to the garage and do some organizing. I can see some bubbling on the main door of the back panel. I'm hoping that's gonna go away, but the rest of them look pretty good. It went down really well on the back side of the first panel I did, so I'm excited to get the rest done. It is of course worth noting that if you're ever painting like this inside or at all, especially aerosol painting, you want to be in a well-ventilated space, so I've got my window opened. I also have 2 fans running, pushing air into the room so that any fumes produced from the paint curing aren't going to leak up into the rest of the house. I've got the fan on, I've got exhaust in this room, so we should be covered for any smells that the paint produces. With that disclaimer out of the way, let's get on to coat number 2. Now this is a little more challenging because I can't do it in the same exact order and way I did before. I have to move all the panels out of the way in order to get to them first. Small fat sacrifices to make in the grand scheme of things. So about this primer I was sold. Apparently it does not stick to the IKEA furniture. This is a problem. Well, I think my only option is I have to redo it, right? I'm hoping that because I cleaned the other boards, they're gonna stick better. And I'm gonna do a 3rd coat with the paintbrush and probably treat this one exactly the same way, washing it and then rolling on a coat and then brushing. So I'll do 2 coats. This is the test board anyway, I'm not that upset. Nothing else to do but to crack on with it.
I shouldn't want you, I shouldn't need you, but I'm afraid that's not up to me. Cause when I hear you sing through my speakers, it's like my mind takes a hold of me. I've tried shutting you off for some time now, but I'm still hearing your voice in my head. Oh, I wish I was more than your fan now, and that your voice came from here in my bed. You're in my headphones, baby, in my headphones, baby, in my headphones, singing to me. You're in my headphones, baby, in my headphones, baby, in my headphones, making me bleed.
Okay, we are now at the point where both cabinets have been painted, my dog is coming to visit, and we have the back panel painted. But I have a small problem as well. See, the underside of these shelves needs to be painted as well as the bottom pieces. And I think the best way to do that is to flip these on their sides or their backs so that I have a flat surface to paint on. But I also need to make sure I've got space for this so that I can do the brushwork because they all need a 2nd coat to give the kind of finish that I want. I don't think there's a perfect way to do this, so I'm just gonna have to clear up the floor space, lay them down, and get to it.
But I always want you, and it's so sad, it just makes me cry. Feels like I know you better than others, but you don't care, you never reply. I've tried shutting you off for some time now, but I'm still hearing your voice in my head. Oh, I wish I was more than your fan now, and that your voice came from here in my bed. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm at this kind of tiny impasse where I have this cabinet painted and this cabinet unpainted, and I'm worried that installing the shelves is going to chip and peel the paint, because again, if it wasn't clear, this is not an advised activity. Don't paint IKEA furniture. At least don't paint it cheap and dirty the way I'm doing it. It doesn't have the best result. And this is a temporary studio, so I'm kind of doing things quick and fast. The primer still chips and rubs away and doesn't look very good. And I don't want to install the shelves and have the paint peel, but I also don't want to install the shelves and then have to paint around them, because it's like a lot more work. I guess I don't know if it's a lot more work. I think I'm going to install the shelves. This one's still kind of wet. I want to avoid peeling as much as possible and have like a half decent finished product. So I think I'm going to assemble the cabinets now. I'm going to keep the shelves upside down so that the finished surface is on the bottom, because the plyboard absorbs the primer a lot better, and I think is going to be like a less tear resistant surface, or a more tear resistant surface. I'm just going to put things together and expect that it will work out, and then when it doesn't, figure out how to fix it anyway, because that's what we do here. So of course there was in fact tearing and damage to the paint, minimally on this side, which I'm happy with. So overall, I'm glad that I installed the shelves first. They look fine. I also did decide to put the finish side up, not the wood side up, mostly because I like this finish more, and it is slightly more durable. Like, my fingernails aren't scratching this the same way that my fingernails do scratch that. The paintbrush is a much more durable top coat than this base layer. So now back to painting. Okay, I'm gonna call those shelves done. We'll give them some time to dry. It's really hard to know if they're gonna be perfect because I can't see them in the lighting conditions that I'm gonna have when my studio space is operational. But for our purposes, I expect that's good enough. With the shelves completed, it now gives me the opportunity to start dealing with the echo in this room. But before I move on to that, I need to make a little bit of space on some of my tables, so we're gonna move on to a little bit of decorating. Okay, now that we have that studio space a little bit more decorated, we can move on to dealing with that. My solution for this is going to be sound paneling. Lots and lots of sound paneling. In my previous location, I was using this directly on the walls through a variety of mounting means, and that was a terrible idea and terribly damaged the drywall. So instead, this time around, we're going to be using these. These are foam core boards, and what makes this particular product unique is it folds out. So I have a huge surface area to mount the foam onto directly, creating a sound panel that can be then mounted separately to the walls. For mounting, we're going to be using some spray adhesive directly, and I expect that will work very well and help significantly with dampening the ambient echo in this room. Now that I've made a significant mess of the room, we're going to move to the garage to begin the assembly. Okay, so this is the design I think I'm gonna go for. It evenly distributes the number of panels that I have. One of them is gonna be octagonal, but that's fine. Having nice big square panels in the studio space is good. I did test and make sure that I have the space on the 3 walls I'm gonna put these, and they should fit just fine. So the next step is actually putting the panels together, of course. Putting the panels together involves squaring out the frame with some cardboard, finding center, covering the surface with some kind of adhesive, and then arranging my pre-planned design out on the now sticky surface.
Hey, that's pretty good.
With only 2 nails in each corner of these panels, we're able to put them up. It hangs secure, they don't weigh much of anything at all, and immediately the sound quality and resonance in the room is significantly dropped. At this point, I think the only major thing that I could do as an improvement is get a nice rug for the floor, which I'm planning to do. But I am very happy with the result of that, and I think I was quite modest in the kind of patterning and style that I did, but this opens up a lot of utility and creativity for how you could design a sound panel to look. It's almost like the nanoleaf tiles. You can texture them and tile them in any orientation suited for any space. So, I've moved things around a little bit. After some review, I wasn't happy with how the bookshelves were arranged and the position of the desk and streaming purposes, so everything's changed. And it might change again. You never know with these things. After all, this is a temporary studio, currently work in progress, and there's still much more to do. Right, so this is where the studio stands right now. It is much, much better than it was when we started. The audio is certainly improving with the addition of sound panels. However, it's still pretty boring. Boring is, of course, a relative term. Of course, I've got lots of stuff on my shelves, but as far as the viewing angle when I'm going to be recording or streaming as a background, it needs a little more je ne sais quoi. The light here behind the TV is a good addition, but you know, I think we can do better than that. In fact, we can do a lot better. On the table behind me is a variety of items that I've got that I really think are going to lighten the mood in here. Let's start with that TV. Now, I can't promise this is going to be perfect, but it should have generally a cool effect. Awesome. With the TV set up, let's move over to some things on the desk. We can start by applying our new desk pad. And I have this USB charging block. We can get that installed as well. We can also do a plant, my camera arm, keyboard and mouse, and that's shipping up pretty nicely. All right, now that we have some lights up, we can move on. Unfortunately, I damaged my kind of hasty white coating on these shelves, moving the TV around, but we have a solution to that. Honestly, I'm normally much more of an advocate for living plants, but again, this is a temporary environment and I want it to look consistent no matter what time, day, or period of time passes. So we're going to be adding foliage on top. I purchased some vines off of Amazon. However, when I first opened the package, they smelled awful. It's hard to describe. It was like a cured sort of rubber scent. So I spread them out all over our garage. Again, we're still packing, but I think this actually helps show the vision for what these plants have. And now that I've collected and brought them all in, you actually get a pretty significant amount of volume once they're spread and fluffed out a bit. And with these, we're going to lay them over the shelf a little bit and potentially over the rest of the room to add a bit of depth. The leaves act as little anchors. They hook on and tangle everything, so I don't even think I'm gonna need any kind of adhesive to hold them in place. They should just work. I think that's looking really good. From this point, I really just only need to add the lights in, and that should be pretty easy, but I don't have the batteries for it at this moment in time, so we're just gonna have to wait. Or I will. With the power of editing, you don't have to wait at all.
Hi! You wouldn't know it, but everything you just saw was recorded last year for me. But I have news, because power of editing, it's finished. Welcome to the studio. This environment has been exactly what I was looking for. I record and stream in it on a daily basis. It's my office space. It transforms between a functional, bright, open living space and a dark and colorful gaming space when I need. I have full control over the lights behind me to be able to set different themes depending on what kind of environment I'm looking for. So I have the Chilton Arts theme on right now, but I can switch between any of the channels that I run depending on what I'm recording. Chilton Reviews, Chilton Games, Chilton Vlogs, and Chilton Streams. This office gives me everything that I need to be able to produce videos over the next 5 to 7 months while I'm staying in the United States until I am able to finally move on to the next leg of my journey. But if you want to find out what's happening there, you'll have to subscribe to the channel to find out more. With all that said, thank you so much for watching. Now, those very astute of you may have noticed a 3D printer in the background of the video. Yes, I have one. Yes, I am using it. There will be a video coming out on that eventually. I will also be reviewing the Creality H1 on my channel, Chilton Reviews, as well, if you're interested for more of that content coming out in the next few months. Again, I am spacing out content across the channels that I do, trying to get into more of a rhythm for uploading rather than just 100% going in on one channel. I'd rather express all of my interests, finding what works, than dive into one idea for a year or so. So, the next video that will be coming out on March 1st will be talking about how to make those cheap DIY sound panels, going into a full dive, and from then we're going to get into some proper skill growth, learning programs like DaVinci Resolve, Fusion 360, and Notion from scratch. So if you're interested in that, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the other channels if you like the content that I'm doing. Thank you so much for your comments and support. And with all that said, once again, thank you for watching. I hope you're finding success in all your own ambitions. Never stop learning. Till next time, take care. Bye-bye.